The 20-year-old me will not believe that I spent so much on Apple products, and man, am I deep into their ecosystem. And I guess that's why Apple users are more loyal to them as compared to other brands, and a survey shows that iPhone's customer loyalty exceeds 90%, while Samsung is only at about 70%. And they also found that almost 60% of Apple users own at least 3 or 4 Apple products like iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch and the Mac computer. I mean, it's probably true, right? But being so addicted to Apple's product makes me wonder how it was born and made history by becoming the first US company to hit $1 trillion market cap in 2018 and then $2 trillion in the next 2 years. And at current rate, they might actually hit $3 trillion again very soon. Apple's journey began when Steve Jobs and Steve Wozniak, the founders of Apple, both tech lovers, dreamt of having their own personal computers, and that resulted in them building Apple I and started selling it in 1976 when they saw the potential in commercializing it. And thanks to Apple I, they gained enough initial capital to build Apple II a year later, which drove the company's revenue until the mid-1980s, where they introduced the Apple III computer, which eventually failed to compete with IBM's personal computer due to technical failures, and 3 years later, the release of Apple Lisa computer, the first computer to be sold with a mouse and graphical user interface. And guess what? That failed again because it was extremely pricey at almost $10,000 each back then, which if you factor in inflation, then that's more than $30,000 or 130,000 ringgit in today's money. But it's okay, as Lisa paved the way for the release of Macintosh in 1984, Apple's first groundbreaking product yet, as it revolutionized the personal computer industry.
That's one reason we invented the Macintosh Office.
And before the Macintosh, computers were complex and challenging to use, but the introduction of a graphical user interface on Macintosh allowed users to interact with the computer using pictures and icons instead of text commands, making it much more user-friendly like what we have today in our computer. However, sadly, in the years between the release of Apple II and the Macintosh, IBM caught up and left Apple in the shadows, and in 1985, Apple's revenue continued its decline, and Apple's board eventually fired Steve Jobs as he couldn't come to terms with the board and also the then CEO John Sculley. But things changed in the 1990s when Apple flopped again and again and almost went bankrupt as it struggled to compete with Microsoft Windows operating system. And very soon, the new board of directors realized Steve Jobs' importance and invited him to return to the company. And shortly after, we had the birth of iMac, the most aesthetic computer on the market at that time. And to make it even better, iMac was promoted with a strong marketing campaign featuring the iconic Think Different slogan, and that's when people realized Apple's success is closely tied to its excellent marketing and branding strategies. But little did people know, the iMac was just the beginning of Apple's groundbreaking series of product releases like the iPod, which I unfortunately never owned because I was too young and too broke to buy myself any Apple product back then. But man, you got to give Steve Jobs the credit for making game-changing products again and again. It literally feels like the Elon Musk that we all have right now. Different person, but same vibes, if you know what I mean. Anyways, I think we all can agree that Apple's early success can be largely attributed to Steve Jobs and his extraordinary vision. But when he passed away in 2011 due to pancreatic cancer, Tim Cook, Apple's former head of operations, took over as the CEO and helped Apple to hit $3 trillion in market cap in early 2022, with the company's stock price rose more than 10 times in just 10 years. And he did that by having Apple expanded its product range beyond traditional hardware such as the Apple Watch and also the AirPods. And also, Apple shifted its focus towards the software as a service (SaaS) platforms by introducing a range of services, including Apple Music, Apple TV Plus, Apple News Plus, Apple Pay, and many more, which further strengthened the entire Apple ecosystem, making it even more difficult for the customers to leave them. I mean, I can relate. Of course, there will still be critics of Tim Cook as being not innovative because of the largely similar iPhone design year after year after year.
There isn't a lot of wow factor in it, I don't think.
But in 2020, Apple silenced all of them when they introduced the game-changing Apple Silicon. the M1 chip inside, and that shook the entire computer and tech industry. And just to show you how good it is, I bought 2 M1 MacBooks in the span of 2 years and I have zero complaints. Yep, it's that good. And needless to say, chips are the most fundamental components that power smartphones, computers, and any electronic devices. And without them, it's like a human without a brain. And before the M1 chip, smartphones and computers use different chip technologies, where phones in general utilizes a simpler technology by ARM, which is more power efficient and easier to implement, while the computers relied on the x86 chip by Intel that consume more energy and isn't very efficient. But behind the scene, Apple had been preparing to depart from Intel and move to its custom designed M1 chip based on the ARM technology, and Apple succeeded with this innovation as the M1 chip proved to be a significant advancement, offering twice the efficiency of their competitors while consuming just 25% of the power. So this meant longer battery life and reduced heat generation. And today, my 2 M1 MacBooks can easily last 12 hours of usage in a full charge. That's unheard of especially for laptops. But most importantly, business-wise, M1 granted Apple greater control over its devices and also supply chain, and now they can rely less on third parties to manufacture these parts of their devices. Overall, a huge win for Apple, which is why until today, it is one of my best performing stock alongside my Tesla stock. So if you're interested to invest in this tech giant or explore the wondrous world of investing in the fastest growing economy in the world, you can easily do so through the sponsor of this video, M+ Global, an online stock brokerage app that's fully licensed by the Securities Commission of Malaysia, allowing you to buy US stocks and ETFs, and you can easily fund your account using Ringgit through online FBX within 2 minutes only. It is safe, simple, fast, and cheap. What more can you ask for, right? And thanks to them, you can now enjoy a guaranteed $20 trading voucher when you sign up using my link below and deposit 1,000 ringgit. That in itself is almost a 10% return right from the get-go. Welcome back, by the way. Do you like my new headset? Anyway, jokes aside, I personally think that Apple's future is none other than one more thing from WWDC in June, the Vision Pro. This is the first spatial computer introduced by Apple after Meta's Quest headset and Microsoft HoloLens, and says that this marks the beginning of an era where the lines between the physical and digital worlds blur, as now we can use our eyes, hands, and also voice to control devices in a more natural way on top of a more immersive experience of gaming and watching movies. The possibilities are endless, and some of you might not actually agree with that, but that's fine. I respect your opinion, because whatever we saw could just be a marketing demo, and hey, first gen product, I wholeheartedly agree if it sucks. It's only normal until they get more consumer feedback and iterate after that. And if Apple's history is of any indicator, then what might come after that would probably be nothing less than amazing. But obviously, I haven't had the opportunity to try it myself, but the reviews from tech YouTubers and online articles are mostly positive.
This is the most natural way to interact with a VR or AR headset.
I was really impressed with the responsiveness. Again, this was better than any headset I've seen with just your hands.
Now, one of the things I was really interested in was the fact that you can just look at your MacBook and it will bring up the display large format. You can make it as large as you want.
So I believe that Apple has the potential to accelerate the adoption of AR by reaching out to more non-tech geeks or gamers who are currently the primary users of this technology. And despite of its price tag of $3,499 or over 15,000 ringgit, that might not immediately attract a lot of people, like how the iPhone was deemed overpriced back then. But there's still a chance that people will recognize its value over time. And with Apple's expertise in hardware design, they could potentially dominate the AR industry in the future. Very exciting, but we'll see. By the way, have you noticed the resemblance between Apple's introduction of Vision Pro and how Oasis was presented in Ready Player One with users wearing the headset? It's amazing, and I am so excited about what the future holds. And with AI in the picture now, I can only imagine how fast the tech industry will grow in the next few years. And that is all for today's video. I hope you enjoy it, and as usual, I will see you in the next one.